Betty Lidke, 50 Shades of Green. "50 Shades of Green," Betty Lidke.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Nobody has ever accused me of having a green thumb. When I first got married, my best friend gave me a macrame plant hanger as a shower gift. Macrame was really popular back then, which should give you an idea of how long I've been married. So we're at my bridal shower. I'm opening my gifts, and right there in front of God and everybody, including my husband-to-be, my mother-in-law-to-be, all their relatives, and all my relatives, my ex-best friend announced that she put an artificial plant in the hanger because she knew I would kill a real one. And the worst part is, she was right. I got married in September. The week after Thanksgiving that year, we had a deep freeze. In one day, the temperature plummeted to below 0. I came home from work that day and realized my planter was hanging way too close to a heating vent. My plant was shriveled, scorched, smoking, which means it took me less than 3 months to kill a fake plant. A few years later, I was in the hospital having surgery. While I was there, I got some lovely plants and floral arrangements as gifts. I survived, obviously. The plants didn't. And I felt really bad about that too, until I realized, hey, it could have been the other way around. But still, it's not like I didn't care for them. I did. When I got home, I put them in a sunny window. I watered them, I fed them, I talked to them lovingly. I still kill them all, except for one lone survivor. It was a jungle of green things planted in a glass bowl, along with some flowers for color. You know, those single stems they put in a test tube and shove into the dirt so it looks like they're growing there. Well, I knew they weren't going to last very long, so I didn't worry about it when they shriveled up and died. I just plucked them out, tossed them out, and continued watering everything that was left. And then when the different green things started to shrivel up and die, I did the same thing. I plucked them out, tossed them out, and continued watering everything else. I was doing this one morning when my neighbor stopped by for a visit. She looked at me and said, "Betty, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm watering my plant." She said, "Yes, I can see that, but why are you watering a plastic plant?" That's when I realized everything that was left was fake. But it still looked healthy and green, so I kept on watering it. I just made sure it was nowhere near any heating vents. A few more years went by, and by now I have kids, they're in school, so we spent a lot of time at the library. One day, while they were in story time, I was wandering around the library looking for some books to check out for myself. Well, I took a wrong turn down one aisle and found myself in the horticulture section. I looked up, and there on a shelf, a book was calling out to me, and it said, "The Pleasure of Herbs." I don't know what possessed me to take it down from the shelf and start thumbing through it, but when I did, I got really excited. Especially about 2 things that I learned about herbs. One is that you can eat them. And the other is that many of them thrive on neglect. I could do this. And I did, and I've been growing wonderful green things ever since. I have chives and oregano, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I had my own little Simon and Garfunkel garden. And mint. Oh, you've got to be careful with mint, because mint spreads through underground runners. And those guys don't take no for an answer. I learned this the hard way. That first year, I planted a little mint plant in the corner of the garden. I spent the rest of the summer harvesting mint from all over the garden and the yard and the cracks in the sidewalk. By now I knew what the problem was, so I went and dug up every bit of mint. I pulled out all the runners, all the shoots. I got rid of every trace of mint. And then every year after that, I did the same thing. With mint that was growing further and further out into the neighborhood. Now, I grew up in the Chicago area, and that's where I had my first herb garden. Then we moved to Roanoke, Virginia, and lived there for several years. And then we were in Longmont, Colorado for several years. I moved to Minnesota in 1999. And to this day, I am scared to death that I am going to wake up in the middle of the night sometime with a long, green, slimy thing tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Thought you could get away from us now." But other than that, it's been great. And growing herbs has given me more confidence, more enthusiasm, more... It's even made me more creative. In fact, I wrote my own book on herbs. It's a book of poetry, and I'd like to read one to you right now. I went from pariah to paragon by growing a little tarragon. I developed my gardening bravery with summer and winter savory. After planting some basil, the rest of my days will be better than I've ever seen. And the best part of all is that now every fall, my thumb is a sweet shade of green. Mr. Toastmaster.